So thank you so much for the invitation to speak today. Let's do the usual fill in with the slides and hopefully you can see this. Fantastic. So I'm Iratxe, I work at ASAPbio. I'm going to be speaking about a program we started last year called the ASAPbio Fellows program. As a brief introduction about ASAPbio, for anyone who may not be familiar with us, we are a non-profit with a mission to drive transparency and innovation in life sciences communication. And a big area of work for us is that we work to support the adoption of preprints as a way of communicating research in the life sciences. We try to get working towards that mission through a number of activities that involve talking to many stakeholders in the life sciences communication space. But a big pillar for our work is the fact that we have an ASAPbio community, which contains a number of members from different perspectives and roles, but a large majority of the community members are researchers, although again, we have also other stakeholders who have an interest in preprints and in supporting their adoption as well. The ASAPbio community was started shortly after the organization was founded in 2016. We currently have around 400 members. The overall common thread is that all the members have an interest in preprints and they want to support raising awareness about preprints for science communication, so they may participate in outreach, talk to other community members, and also we hope for the community to be a forum where they can also come with any questions or challenges and can get some support around that. The community runs fully online. We have a Slack group, but also some other programming such as community calls, and we run events that obviously we invite community members to attend. And more recently, we developed the Fellows program that I'm going to be diving into in a bit more detail. We started the Fellows program last year, and the overarching goal for the program is to equip our community members with information and skills to drive conversations about preprints. So the idea is that we hopefully help them become a go-to person themselves for others in their communities, so they can provide information, resources, and help to anyone interested in learning more about preprints, preprinting their work, etc. I have to say that when I joined ASAPbio a year and a half ago, there had been some conversations already about developing the Fellows program. So a bit like Vanessa, I don't have to necessarily go through the buy-in process. We're also a very small organization. So essentially the work towards having the program was partially already there. And then when I joined, I worked more into shaping the content and making sure there were defined goals for the program and some evaluation process afterwards. But in terms of what the areas where we were hoping that the Fellows program would help us with our community were obviously the element of maintaining the community. We were quite interested in re-energizing the community. There have been perhaps a decrease in engagement, so we thought that the program would give us some opportunities there. And also we wanted the program to be an opportunity to align the expectations for community members who often were joining, and we were telling them, oh, you can be a go-to person in your community and represent our vision, etc., with the actual opportunities that we were giving them to do so. So in the sense that we felt that if we wanted our community members to act in those roles, we should also give them opportunities to again do outreach, develop skills so that they were comfortable doing that, etc. We also wanted the program to be an opportunity to grow the community, obviously also in size if we could, but there was a big element of an interest in increasing diversity. We had a community where there was a large representation of certain research disciplines and others not so much. And also there was quite a bit of representation from North America and Europe, but less so from other areas. And we wanted to make sure that we brought in members from other regions. Also, an opportunity has been discussed before for capacity building. We are a very small organization, so a team of 3 obviously cannot speak to every researcher in the world. So this was an opportunity for us to again build that capacity in terms of getting the outreach and message across. And finally, it was also an opportunity to nurture certain community members who had already shown a good level of engagement, and so that they could become something of trusted members that we could go to again get them involved in other projects we may run. It's important for us and for our mission to ensure that we always had the researcher perspective in our projects. That was going to provide potentially a pool of researchers to go to for that purpose. So we started the Fellows program last year. We ran it a second time this year. We're just completing the 2021 cohort. It has been mentioned before, it was important for us to make sure that the program has some structure, and it was confined to a certain period of time so that we could plan accordingly in terms of the activities, but also provide that sense of accomplishment and progression for the participants who were investing time in this. We have run it with cohorts of between 25 and 30 participants. The majority are researchers, early career researchers in particular, but we also have some fellows who are in different roles. We have had several librarians and others in science communication roles as well. So I mentioned we had a great interest in terms of the geographical representation in the program, and I'm happy to say that both years we had participants from Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. So in terms of how the program runs, very briefly, we ran a program of monthly calls with the whole of the group. We have an orientation session at the beginning, which is an opportunity to share information about the program, what are the activities that they can expect, and also an opportunity for the different participants to start getting to know each other. We then ran monthly calls for the whole of the group, where we explore different topics related to preprints. And then another important aspect of our program is that we ask the fellows to organize themselves into smaller groups where they conceptualize and bring a project to completion. This was important for us for 2 reasons. One is a way of working in a smaller group so that the participants get to know, again, at least some of the other fellows a little bit better. And it was also a way to have a concrete item to work on so that they apply the information and the skills that we are covering in the program. There have been a number of projects run over the 2 years, which have been fantastic. I didn't list them all here, but for example, they created infographics. All of our ASAPbio infographics have been created by fellows. They have run a couple of events. They led a community call for us. They have prepared other materials, etc. So we try to give them visibility and amplify what they do as part of the program. Reflecting in terms of the last couple of years and the impact on our community, it has been, as I mentioned, we were interested in ensuring that there was an element of growth and greater diversity in the community. And I think that this has been a great way of doing that, particularly in terms of geographical representation. I was happy to see interest from researchers in Africa and Asia. And we also attracted researchers from a broader range of disciplines versus those that were mostly represented before. Another interesting element for us, which I don't think necessarily we anticipated when we were setting the program, but I thought it was a great benefit, is that actually it helped us also think about the groups and opportunities that we had within the communities to allow those fellows to continue engagement after the program. And actually we now develop other groups where they can still continue to be involved and work on activities of their interest. There was a mention as part of the model earlier in terms of the legitimacy. This was an important element for us. We now have several fellows involved in other projects that we run at ASAPbio around culture change, developing standards, etc. I'm very happy to now have this pool of fellows who know preprints very well and with whom we already have a relationship, and we can involve them in these other projects that are really guiding a lot of our outputs. they've been involved in different outreach events, as I mentioned, as well for us. Some co-organized with us, and some others that they run themselves for their communities. And then in terms of reach, it has been also a fantastic benefit for us. We have now several of them involved in trying to initiate collaborations with other groups all around the world. We have a very beautiful project running now that was an initiative by two of our fellows, Sandra and Pablo, who started the collaboration with a group in Ecuador. And we actually, in October, are running a series of sessions all about preprints in Spanish, so managing to get that message out in South America as well. Another important element, similar to what Vanessa has said, for us, we're interested in making sure that our resources are visible for different communities, and actually the fellows are volunteering to translate the existing resources, such as infographics, to the languages that they can cover. So in terms of reflecting on the last couple of years, and again, things that have worked and things that are still to resolve, I have found it very useful to think about the program with a structure in mind, and forcing myself to think about the essentially how would we run the activities and what our goals were and how the content aligned to that. It can be a bit time consuming, thinking about all of the documentation, etc., the scaffolding, but it generally pays off, so I highly recommend it. There was a mention earlier about the rewards and what does it mean. For me, this is something that I don't think we necessarily have found the answer to, but it was something that I had in my mind in terms of balancing within the program what we wanted to achieve as an organization and within the ASAPbio community, and also the value for the individual. So I always try to make sure that we had activities and opportunities for participants to develop their own skills in some way, communication, professional skills, and also make some connections that would be helpful for them as well in the future for their network. A mention on diversity was a very important driver for us, something that we really kept on the top of our minds in terms of selecting participants. But we did encounter some challenges around that. For example, when we opened for applications, we were very keen to encourage sign up from different regions, but it's not always easy to put this information in front of groups in regions where you may not have traditionally have a presence. So again, I did wonder a little bit as to how to make sure that we got the message to those groups. And also we had a very diverse cohort, for example, particularly this year, but then there were some challenges in terms of the time zones, different internet connections, etc. So I don't know if there may be better ways to handle a geographically diverse cohort that I may not have considered. So I'd welcome suggestions and ideas. The last item I wanted to mention, which I know is also in the CSCCE model, is the importance of reviewing the program. I have found it incredibly useful to run a survey at the end of the program to see what perhaps information or calls that we had were particularly interesting, which less so, which were the elements or needs that we perhaps didn't cover as much. I have used the surveys at the end of the program, and also one-on-one conversations that I have every time with every single fellow program participant. So important to listen to that and kind of adjust. Essentially, it doesn't need to be set in stone. I've made adjustments this year based on the feedback, etc. So just bear that in mind. And with that, thank you so much for listening, and yeah, happy to address questions later or discuss further. Thank you.